Hey guys, so for this week's video I have a book review. I'm going to be reviewing two books, and I have the books right here. I'm going to be reviewing the book of Jhereg by Brust, and also The Dip by Seth Godin. Yeah, I read both these books a while back actually. I don't know. Actually, no, that's not true. I read this book a week ago, and then I read the other one a couple weeks ago. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, I'm gonna start off with my review I'm gonna start off with The Dip. And this is a book, it says The Dip, a little book that teaches you when to quit and when to stick. And I bought this book because I was looking online for books that dealt with quarter life crisis, or quarter life crisis. And if you don't know what a quarter life crisis is, it's like instead of a midlife crisis, it's a crisis that occurs like within your 20s and also sometimes in your 30s, where you are feeling lost and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'll include the exact definition in the down bar, so you can read it, and you can always look it up online to see more about it. But yeah, I've realized that that's something that I'm going through right now, and I just wanted to get some books to kind of sort my head out, and this book was very highly reviewed. So it's a really short book. There's only 76 pages. So it's a really short book, but I have to say that it's really good. This book specifically is meant to help you pick and just realize that there are certain things that you should quit and other things that you shouldn't. And the author stresses that he doesn't like the idea that we're always told that we should never quit and we should be good at a whole bunch of things. And he thinks that we should actually just stick to some things that we're good at and quit the things that we're not good at, and just think of it in terms of a plan of, like, instead of starting something that's going to take a lot of energy that you wouldn't be able to pursue later on because you will lose interest or whatever, that's actually counterproductive, and that's hurting you because that's taking away from your time and your resources and all that. And then so those types of things you should quit, whereas there are other things that you should keep going on. And he gives you some ideas and some analogies how to figure out if you are quitting something because you're going through a rough patch. So let's say if it's a career, are you quitting the career because there's a slight rough patch but it'll get better, or which he calls that a dip, or are you quitting it because you are on a roundabout where nothing changes, or you're just like really stagnant and it's not going to get better. So he says, like, the dip is something that you can get through and you can overcome, and people who get through the dip are the ones that are normally successful because they know how to recognize that is just for a short time that they have to get through it, and if they stick through it, they'll reap the rewards later, rather than the people who quit right at the dip and then they put all their energy into that project or whatever it is, and then it's for nothing, and then they have to start again. So yeah, I think if you're having a quarter life crisis like I am, or if you just are a person that takes on a lot of different tasks, starts things, stops things, you don't know when to quit certain things, you're feeling confused about that, I would suggest for you to buy this book and give it a read. It made me think about things differently. It definitely, I think, was very illuminating and helpful. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the book of Jhereg by Brust. It is a omnibus, and it is part of the Vlad Talto series, and I bought this because, again, this got a lot of good reviews, and I wanted to start reading more books on dragons, and I thought because of the reviews it was going to be a good book, but I will tell you what I think about it. Okay, anyways, so this book got a lot of good reviews, and I thought that I was going to like it. But I have to say that I only got through part of the first book. I didn't even finish the first book. because it was just, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and read it, like, and finish it. But so the first book, because that's the only thing that I can talk about, is about this guy called Vlad Taltos who chooses, well, it starts off when he's younger and he witnesses a murder, I guess you could say. He's working in his dad's restaurant and he finds a dead body sitting there, and he ends up getting warned not to say anything. And then they flash forward later on when he's an adult, and he is a highly regarded assassin who has studied, I guess, magic of sort. I think they call it like there's sorcery, and then there's another type. So there's like two different types of like magic. He ends up getting a dragon egg and has his own dragon, and actually that's before he becomes an assassin. He gets his own dragon and he hatches and all that stuff, and then he gets an offer from someone, and then we flash forward even more, and that's when we find out he's an assassin. This world called Jhereg, and the way their political system is set up is that there's different, I guess, different houses that are made up of actually real life dragons, and they each take turns. It's like a cycle, like a house is in power during a cycle and then it shifts or something like that. Yeah, the way that the world is built is pretty similar, I think, to ours. They do have obviously reptilian people, so they're not really people that live thousands of years. Vlad is just human. He isn't a Jheregarian, but he lives in Jhereg. And he ends up meeting this guy who is a big kingpin, and the guy tells him that he needs him to find someone within a certain amount of time, because if the rest of the kingdom, I guess you could call it, finds out that this guy is missing, then there might be war. So he agrees to take the job, but this job is a little bit different because he doesn't know where the guy is. He doesn't really know much about the guy, so he starts trying to find different ways of locating the man. Anyways, so like I said, I think like I like certain parts of the book. I mean, you know, the Jheregarians, a race of like reptilian people, and you know, them ruling in cycles, like that stuff is interesting. But the thing that bothered me about the book was that I couldn't get through a lot of it because of the text. It just felt a lot of times very disjointed and very short. And then I thought that his dragon that he got in the beginning of the book that he went through, you know, to get it, was going to be more of a part of it. But the way that he describes it seems like it's a tiny dragon that sits on his shoulder, and the only thing the dragon likes to say is, "Hey boss," or "Sure boss." And I don't know, I guess it reminds me of like a 20s gangster, the way that the dragon speaks. It's, I don't know, I think that's kind of weird, considering that everybody else doesn't speak like that. It's only the dragon that sits on his shoulder that speaks that way, that kind of comes across as a parrot. Then the other thing is that the writer Stephen Brust, he is really he, instead of showing us what he wants us to see, he tells us. And I didn't know that I hated that until I started reading this book. And I've heard other people say that you know, especially like for writers, that you should show, not tell. You know, show the reader, don't tell the reader. And he tells the reader all the time and doesn't show us. And it's just, it becomes sometimes, like when I was reading the book, I just get kind of bored, and I'm like, okay, you could have just shown us instead of describing every single thing. It's not, I don't know, it just kind of like takes away from it, and it's like you might be into the book, and then he starts telling us, and it distracts from the atmosphere. I don't know, it distracts you, and you kind of get pulled back out to kind of look at it. So that's my main, I think, criticism when it comes to the book. It was a little bit of the writing style. I didn't really like the way that the characters spoke. I don't know, I guess it's his writing I wasn't that crazy about. I hated the showing, I hated the telling and not showing. And I just thought that the dragon was kind of like a parrot accessory that just spoke, his speech didn't fit like the rest of the world's speech or just everybody else's speech. It was just really weird. Alright, so that is my review on both the books. I will mention the, I will put the books below that I mentioned in the down bar, and I will also list my previous video and the last book review that I did, which was a while ago, but I'll list it below. And if you read any of these books, let me know. If you have any book recommendations, of course, let me know as well in the comment section. And I will see you guys next week with a new video. Bye!